One of the first lines in Thug Life is Kamal Haasan talking in voiceover, "The Lord of Death is very fond of me," and he calls himself a born Yakuza. Can you guess, just a wild estimate, an approximation if you wish, what the tone of this film is going to be? Hey all, my name is Sucharita. Welcome back to my channel. Jisko, I will recommend you subscribe before we move on to today's review, please, which is Mani Ratnam's Thug Life.
അവർ നമ്മ വീട് തേടി വരാതെ നാം അത് കയ്യിലെടുത്തുക്കണം.
Sure enough, after that opening scene, you are very clear about the scale of this film, visually and tonally. Also, right on cue, very soon, just a few sequences later, you realize this grandiosity is in service of scarcely anything larger than men talking to men about men while women twirl somewhere around them as wives, bar dancers, or girlfriends with pregnancy tests. Listen, everybody knows that director Mani Ratnam's Thug Life is supposed to be this big cinematic event, and it is. His exhibition of a world of violence, vanity, and vintage vengeance. His long-awaited team-up with Kamal Haasan after Nayakan, a pairing so potent on paper that even opening partner ke jab logos aa rahe the screen pe, audience was cheering in the theatre. That's how excited everybody around me was, including myself. So let's get into it. The story is a straightforward amalgam of rage, grudges, and action set pieces that are high on their own supply. At the center is Rangaraya Shaktivel, played by Kamal Haasan, who we are told in a black and white flashback of 1994 Delhi, rescues a young boy during his own gang's brutal shootout with the Delhi police. In true Indian cinema fashion, turns out that this little boy also has a 4-year-old sister who is lost in the crowd. So this boy goes with Shaktivel and the girl goes missing. The sister, her name is Chandra, we are promised that she will be an important emotional focus of the story. Amar wants to look for her, but she lies completely forgotten through most of the film. So, not just thematically, women are literally also lost in this film. Fast forward to 2016, Shaktivel is now a real estate mafia/mogul person, strutting around with the smugness of a man who sort of knows that he can survive an avalanche, because if he's ever in a film, that scene will just look very, very cool on screen. He has a bar dancer girlfriend, Indrani, played by Trisha, a devoted, suffering wife at home, played by Abhirami, a brother, a daughter, an empire. Why he has 2 women, both of whom begrudgingly acknowledge each other's presence, and why that's a universally normalized situation in this film, I didn't get that at all. And in later moments, when Shaktivel is broken, hurting, all he wants to do is get back to his wife. He says to his wife, "The thought of you kept me going," upon meeting her again. Arey, what about Indrani? You claim to love her just as much. You didn't think of her? Are we going to address how weird that is? Or are we at the point where Indian cinema is just largely a fantasy playground for whatever men want it to be? The wife exists to be in service to Shaktivel. The girlfriend does the same while wearing a backless blouse. Neither has a thought or desire beyond the man that they orbit like moons. The young rescued boy is Amar, right? The adult version is played by an excellent Silambarasan, a performance above the material he's working with. He's charismatic, he's conflicted, and he's gorgeously shot by Ravi K. Chandran. Amar is designed to be the moral compass of this film. And moral compass for Shaktivel himself. Like, what happens when a man's circumstances make him do things that are very removed from the nature of who he is? However, this moral conundrum doesn't get the careful consideration it deserves, because structurally, Thug Life is a mess. Characters appear, they die, they disappear, or they switch allegiances quite rapidly. Ali Fazal shows up and he gets slapped thrice by Mahesh Manjrekar, and then he vanishes until the very last act of this film. What his character is up to in the interim doesn't matter. The slapping scene occurs in the same house, by the way, that Animal was shot in, and I'm convinced that it is the same library where Ranbir and Anil Kapoor scream at each other, तो उस building की vibe ही off है. Rajshri Deshpande है इस film में. She plays Ali Fazal's mother. Huh? She stands outside and she listens, and she's very sad because women are entirely unnecessary, obviously. So while Ali disappears, the antagonist of this film shifts at least 3 times before the interval arrives. Mani Ratnam and Kamal Haasan, who share the writing credit of Thug Life, they both attempt to bring all the subplots together in the third act. Threads are tied, characters collide, flashbacks are filled in, and yet they aren't able to justify the existence of a larger world at stake, right? The stakes, they're hyper-personal. Betrayals, vendettas, one-upmanship. They're never about something beyond the central alpha. It's too dramatic to be relatable, and simultaneously it is too thin to be an epic. Mani Ratnam has has never shied away from embedding his characters into political or historical context, right? His films, they place human choices within larger landscapes. Even if you're just familiar with his Hindi language filmography, man lo, Bombay, Dil Se, Yuva, Guru, they all tell stories of people as their lives intersect and interact with the city they are in, the specific time period, and what the nation is going through in that moment. Not that these are important or imperative things to talk about each time, no way. But Thug Life seems sort of allergic to world building. What does Shaktivel's power even mean, considering you're telling us that he operates his illegal empire from Delhi? Does his work affect the economy, the people, the politics? Does anyone care if he vanishes or then comes back? What happens when he goes away? I did find some moments of levity. A cop who magically appears after every crime, like he has one Google alert on his phone ki kahin violence ho to batana. A henchman who's magnificently called Kanjarapali Patros. I just love that name. Nasser, he's having a gala time. There's Sania Malhotra, she's dancing in one song. And there are various Kamal Haasan hairdos to admire. These things, to a certain extent, they help you forget the gaps in the writing. Like, at one point, they straight up use coincidence to solve a major subplot. Existing squarely between narcissism and nihilism, Thug Life cannot be summed up as good or bad. For Kamal Haasan fans, it's decidedly a treat, even if it fails to become the gripping tale of power and redemption it aspires to be. The movie is now in movie theatres. और कहाँ लगेगी? So, on a scale of 1 to 10, Thug Life is 234. That is how many films Kamal Haasan has acted in. That's literally 234 films as lead actor. It's wild. 234,000 subscribers nahi hai is channel par. Please click the button before you leave and get really angry at me in the comments, which I know you're about to, and that's okay. My name is Sucharita. Thank you for stopping by.